What's happening? Quarter past 9 p.m. Quarter past 9 a.m. 9:15 a.m. EST. 3:15 CAT2. 1:15 UTC. What's happening? We're back for another live trading session. Yeah, I feel like if I can continue making it on time consistently, we might have a little more luck with our endeavors. You know what I mean? So, yeah, happy to be here. Yeah, man, happy to be here. Happy to be here on time, which I feel like is a significant improvement. And yeah, we'll see what the day brings. I've changed a couple of things in my OBS, so hopefully we don't get any more lags. We don't get any more camera issues. I think it was like an FPS thing, so I just switched it up. Instead of streaming at 60 frames per second, like a maniac, just shifted it to 30 frames per second, and hopefully that maintains the stream a lot better. But yeah, this is the volume profile for the Globix session. I just turned on the values, and so we could see where we're at with the overnight values. You know what what we can expect is if we do open outside of the previous day value, right, and we break within, we could possibly have a Dalton rule in play. So that would be a rotation from previous day value area high all the way to the previous day value area low. Unlikely though. Yeah, I can see a couple of roadblocks. Like for one, the Globix VWAP, right? This overnight VWAP is above the point of control, so I can see us doing a retest of this at some point in the session. You know, hopefully not very early on, but yeah. But that's possibly in play. So we'll have a lookout for that. We're currently testing the previous day value area high. You know, maybe this will act as some form of support, and then if so, then you know the next logical level. Well, let's not call it the next logical level, but at least like the next institutional level is the previous week value area low, but that's at 543. So again, we're looking at like 100 points, and we haven't been moving that much within our sessions. You know what I mean? So we'll just have to play it by ear. I do just wanna. I'm just scrolling to the left to see if there are any key levels that we could target. You know, this is the high from yesterday, so you know maybe let's just have that there as a marker. You know what I mean? I think I think just having an idea as to where we could face some form of resistance is going to be important as well. You know, so let's just put that there. I'll put it like a few ticks below because I don't want us to target it. If we do move towards that, I don't want us to be trying to hit the exact level. You know, if we do trade towards it, even a tick or two below it would still be, you know, it still would be fine. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to try and target the exact level and then we fall short, you know. So I'm just gonna mark it. Yeah, we're just gonna mark it. Let's extend that both left and right. What color should we make it? Let's make it a light gray color because I don't want it to be. Yeah, I don't want it to be too prominent on the chart. So previous day high, apply. Yeah, that's a little too thick. And maybe we make it dotted. There we go. Yeah, I think that's good. Label, previous day high. Where is the label? Okay, maybe let me make it a template. Let's call it IBH just for now. Change that previous day high. Oh, it's because I didn't change the font color. But it's all good. So good, we sort that out now. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's the previous day high. Maybe also possibly, should we lock it? I think let's lock it so we don't move it by mistake, you know what I mean? So, and possibly do the same thing for our previous day levels. Yep. Okay, cool. So that's the next logical level if we're going higher. So that's 475. That'll be about 20 points. That's a lot more. I don't know. I feel like it's a lot more realistic. And also, just scrolling again to the left, we can see it did act as some form of resistance. When we're moving down on Friday, yeah, and then we tested it again yesterday, and we failed to break that point. So we'll see if we retest this, and if we can retest this or break this high, then an up move would be in play. And then there's several levels that we can go for after, but that would be a pretty good trade for the day. Let's have a look maybe at like 30-minute levels. We still have 8 minutes before market open, so let's have a look at the 30-minute levels and see if it aligns. Yeah, so that aligns with the 30-minute high. This was midnight our time. Yeah, and then possibly the next one would be 5:31. I think 5:25 would be 5:25 would be another target, after we break this, if we can break this. But for now, let's just keep the previous day high on, and then we'll work it out as we progress during the session. All right. Trying to see if there's anything worth talking about right now as well. I mean, I guess the last 30 minutes have been bearish, but that really just could be a liquidity thing. So nothing much to really make of that. Just depends on how the next 30 minutes form. But this looks pretty bullish. You know what I mean? Just from the naked eye. Again, we bought the view up overnight. This was at 9, so around about 3 a.m. my time. Fell below it, failed to break below it, and then just rallied higher. And we haven't had a retest of it. So at some point, it wouldn't be foolish to assume that at some point we are going to get a retest of that. It could be a thing that we get the retest when we formed initial balance. So we'll wait. Initial balance is only going to form at 10:30 EST, 10:30 a.m. EST. So GQ, what's going on? Yeah, man. So I'm looking at, this is the ES. This is the ES, S&P 500. Yeah, I prefer. I used to trade NQ, which is the Nasdaq 100. I traded that in the first quarter, so Jan, Feb, March, and then I made the switch to the ES in the second quarter, so April, May, and then this month, I've been learning the ropes on the ES. Reason being, I just feel like the ES kind of respects levels a lot cleaner, whereas with NQ, with the Nasdaq charts, you will get some really crazy wicks. You know, like the moves. There's a lot more moves also on NQ. You know, there are a lot more moves on the Nasdaq, but uh, you know, just the way in which you get stopped out on the Nasdaq is not fun. You know, so I made the switch to the ES. The levels hold pretty well here. They hold as well. I mean, like the strategy can apply to anything. You could do this on Bitcoin. You could do this on gold. You could do this in silver futures if you wanted to. You know, I just haven't put the man hours. You know, I haven't put the hours on the charts for gold long enough for me to be able to say, for sure. But you could do this. You could do this pretty much on any futures asset for sure. You know, as long as it's on the CME, you should be able to do it. You know, because again, like, reason why this works is because we're using institutional data. You know, we're using institutional data to find these levels. So our previous day levels, previous day point of control, previous day value area low, previous day value area high, previous week value area high, value area low, point of control. You know, we're using institutional data. You know, so how we're getting that, how that's being aggregated is by the tick. By the tick meaning these movements, right? So a tick would be, okay, so 1 point has 4 ticks. So like say from 48, that's 47.75, that's 1 tick. And then 50 to 5, and then you get a 47. So in between points, you have 4 ticks, right? And the volume profile, what I've been using to get these institutional levels, these volume profiles are formed using tick data. So for every tick, there's a certain amount of volume that comes with that, and our volume profile records that, right? So this is a visual representation of the volume per tick, you know, so per miniature price movement. This is how we form this volume profile. I hope that I hope that answers you. I know I actually got into a lot more than what you had asked, but yeah, that's why I trade the ES. That's why I trade the ES. At some point, maybe Q4. Yeah, maybe in Q4, like from October, I will consider maybe um, trading both the ES and NQ at the same time. But I really uh, I wanna be really good with this first. You know, I want to be I want to be profitable with the ES first, and then I'll make that, and then I'll seriously consider trading both, because they also move in the same direction. And most of the times, what you will find, if you open an NQ chart, you'll find that, like, when we're going low on the ES, the NQ is also making the same low. Where we find resistance on the ES is around about the same time, when the NQ finds resistance. So if you do have the capacity to pay that much attention to it, then you should be able to, it'll be good for you. But yeah, in due time. But yeah, I'm gonna set I'm gonna set the levels now for our overnight session, and plot the value area high, not the value area high, and plot the volume profile for the New York session, because that's 0929. I think these are pretty set now. So yeah, so I'll update those and let's lock them. Okay, so these are overnight values, and let's switch off the volume profile for the overnight session, because we are done with that now. Okay. Ding, ding, ding. So yeah, so that's New York open. We did open above previous day value area high, which is cool. I hope we consolidate a little above it, and then break the previous day value area high. Then possibly I could possibly look at shorting from the overnight point of control, because then that will give us a shorter. It will give us a smaller stop. It'll give us a smaller stop. But even if we don't do that, even if we're moving to the upside, then that the previous day high is like right there. So I can see that playing out. Yeah. So the S&P, yeah, ES has better relatability. Um, I don't know about like relatability, but um, the the ES is the ES is more liquid uh, than Nasdaq. You know, there's more money circulating in ES. You know, yeah, that's kind of like the way people describe it is they'd say NQ is the little sister to the ES. You know, so that's one way of that's one way of thinking about it. Yeah, so now that we have like all of our levels set, we're just gonna give this another 15 minutes. We're gonna give this another 15 minutes for the volume profile to populate. In the meantime, we will switch on we'll switch on our big trades and our regular session volume VWAP and also our Keltner channels, right? Damn. That's something stuck in my throat, no diddy. Yeah. The purple lines are initial balance. So initial balance being the high and the low from the first hour of the New York session. You know, so the first hour is going to be starting from 9:30 to 10:30 EST. That's how we're going to capture the first hour, you know. And then the gray, you know, this gray line, the gray lines here, this is our Keltner channels. This essentially is what's going to tell us whether we're overextended to either side. So if we're like touching the dotted gray lines at the bottom, then we're going to be overextended short, right? So reversals would be more in play. If we're touching like the gray lines, then we'll be overextended long, you know. So I'd be a lot more cautious about trying to long at these areas here at the top of these bands, right? And I'd be a lot more cautious of trying to short at the bottom of these bands, you know. I still would, you know, just depending on the context. But yeah, I still would depending on the context. But you know, it's just one of those things where you kind of need to apply a little discretion, you know. Yeah, because there's this thing that goes around, and I've heard people say it, and I used to also believe it, where you know people used to say, not people used to say, but I hear it a lot, where it's sell the top, buy the bottom, right? But then you also need context. Like, why would you buy something that's already selling strong? Do you get what I mean? So there is that. Yeah. If we fail to hold below, if we fail to hold above this overnight value area high, then I can see us rotating short, you know. So would be waiting to potentially make this type of trade. I said from the overnight point of control. Something like this. But not targeting too far, potentially just targeting the point of control. So that'll be about 12 points. You know. Yeah. If we can hold below the overnight value area high. You know. Also, just depending on how this volume profile forms, we might actually short the overnight value area high. We'll just, again, we're only, what, 5 minutes into the session, so let's give it a little, let's give it like 10 more minutes. Let's give it 10 more minutes, and then we'll know for sure what we're trying to do. 448. 448 would be our short. Yeah. Seems like our camera is working just fine. I just needed to switch it to 30 frames, which is cool. Now that I know. In comparison to like other traders, like my my window starts really early. You know, a lot of people I've seen that I used to watch only start making their trades in after the first 30 minutes is formed. You know, I've just seen this. You know, there are opportunities that present themselves. You know, so if it's there, why not? If it's there, why not? Also, another thing I just kind of need to be a little cautious of is because we were profitable yesterday. We've been profitable. We've been green the last 2 days, so I just need to be a little weary. I need to be a little careful that I don't that I don't overtrade, and that two, I make sound decisions. Because it's like looking at my data, when I go green for a couple of days, I tend to give it back. So our risk management today has to be on point. But yeah, this looks like we're gonna break for the upside. We've just had a break of that developing volume profile value area high, right here at 461.25. So potentially a retest of it. Yeah, a retest of value area high, and then then our stop can go at the opposite side of that volume profile. So something like this, and then we could target the previous day high. As long as we don't get there first, as long as we don't get there like now, then this would be a nice little trade to make. But yeah, it might actually go without us. That's a possibility. We might actually watch it go away. And our value area high is shifted higher. It just keeps on shifting higher, which kind of is not great. Because the higher it goes, the wider our stop becomes, which I'm not quite a fan of. Yeah. Alternatively, we could just wait for the retest of overnight value area high, and then put our stop again at the bottom of that value area. You know what I mean? But yeah, we still have 6 more minutes before we can even consider that. I think this would be a much better trade to try and make. So let's see if we get the break and retest of value area high. Uh, 5 more minutes. Yep. And there's that retest. So yeah, so these are the potential plays. I think more likely this is a more likely play. Yeah. this would be a much cleaner trade to make. But again, seeing as we are overextended now, see, this is what I was saying about the Keltner channels. See, we've hit that in that gray area, so we're overextended now over here. So a rotation to value area low also would make sense, just based off the read on the Keltner channel. But it's not like a rule of thumb. It's not like every time we hit the top of that, we're going to rotate lower. It's just kind of based off probabilities. Like that happens more often than it doesn't. Yeah. If we stay above the 20 EMA, right? This is a 20 EMA. It's an exponential moving average, but it's an EMA based off a 5-minute time frame, right? So it's taking the last 5 minutes, the last 20 candlesticks from the last 5 minutes, and then it's finding an average of those. So as long as we can stay above this, then the longs would be in play. In fact, you could argue that as long as we stay above the VWAP, the New York VWAP, the longs would be in play. But yeah, let's wait and see, right? If this overlaps, if the value area low can overlap, as in like if the value area low shifts up to the overnight value area high, then potentially that would be an even cleaner trade. But then we'll be putting our stop loss could go even below, maybe up to previous day value area high. It's a pretty deep stop loss. That's like almost $200, but if that's the logical place to put the stop, because if that doesn't hold, then this is what's going to be retested. But we did the retest of it before in the Globex session. We retested it there. So let's just wait and see. Okay, 2 more minutes before our trading window opens. And I think we have a news event at 4 p.m. at 10 a.m. EST. If we get this high, if we tag this high, then this becomes invalid as a trade idea. Because I wouldn't see us, if we can't break this, then the up move would, the long moves would be dead. The long moves would be dead. So let's give it a little more time. So we're just a minute away now. Just make sure we can see price over here. So when we need to make the order, we can we can make it quickly. Yeah, so that's the high, previous day high, almost. And remember, I did drag it like 2 ticks below the actual high, so okay, 30 more seconds before our trading window officially opens. I'm just checking the DOM here to see if there are any resting orders that could be some form of a roadblock. But this seems to be holding pretty strong. All right, so that's our trading window open. I don't know if we're gonna get this anymore. Yeah, so let's get rid of this as an idea, and all right, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. So potentially a break and retest of that previous day high. Either a break and retest of it, or it's going to be a look below and fail, a look above and fail. So we could be patient and wait for a retest of, yeah, 468.75. I think let's go long from 468.75. Super deep though, but let's just get in the habit of making the plays from the levels that we've drawn out. And then if this shifts higher, then we will. Okay, see that's 69.25 now. Yeah, so I only look at one chart at a time. I only focus on one of the indices at a time. Yeah, I mean, academically, it's cool to know how the other things move, right? But if you spread, just kind of found that like spreading my focus, it does in a way affect my overall trading performance. So I just focus on one thing at a time and then try and get a level of mastery on that. So I pushed the NQ like for a while. That's actually what I started on when I started learning order flow. That's what I was using to learn, because there are a lot more moves, there's a lot more movement on the Nasdaq on NQ. So that's what I was using to. That's what I started learning off of. And then yeah, and then once I got like a little bit of confidence, and once I kind of felt like I just needed something that had more, what's the word I want to use? I guess not predictable moves, but comfortable moves. I don't know if I can say comfortable moves. But essentially, the ES moves a lot better. It respects the levels a lot cleaner than NQ does. NQ's crazy. 73.25. Yeah, so our value area keeps shifting. That's why I'm moving our limit order higher, right? Yeah, I don't know about getting that retracement all the way down here though. This looks pretty gone. Should keep it a buck. 73.75. Yeah, this looks like it's gone, bro. This does not want to come back at all. 74.75. Okay, big selling at the top here. It's unfortunate this move happened before our trading window, that would have been such a clean break and retest 75. That would have been like a really clean break and retest. You know, it's just that it was 7 minutes before the window. So, but I think we're gonna get a retest of this high. 75, 75. You know, possibly a retest of this, and then we'll put our stop at the point of control. You know, that would still be a pretty wide stop. That's almost 10 points. But we will, yeah, I think let's front run this. Let's give it 75, 75. And then we'll wait and see. I think maybe we might get, hopefully we get the fill in this down move. Yeah, motive wave is lagging though. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yep. So now we have a perfect overlap of that previous day, high, and the yeah, value area high, 76, 75 now. It's creeping, 77.25. 78.25. It's like I'm chasing it. $78.75. Boss. Yeah, we are lagging. Getting a massive lag on this though. It's not a good sign. That is not a good sign. 74.80. Yeah, I think we might have missed that because the motive wave is lagging hectically. Yeah, hopefully we get filled here. Surely. Okay, cool. So our stop is 472. Just need to make sure. Our stop is quite literally where the view app is. So if this isn't a break and retest, then we're pretty. Yeah, it'll be chai for this trade. But yeah, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if this can hold, or if this previous day high can hold. Which maybe is where we should have like just waited for the trade. Yeah, this might actually get us. If 75 doesn't hold, then we're getting a full rotation. Is it? Yeah, I think we're gonna get stopped out here, boys. Yeah, I think this is a stop out. Yeah, unlucky. I think the error we made there was chasing that higher. We should have really considered. Maybe we should have considered making. Yeah, we should have possibly considered entering that with a smaller size. You know. But yeah, let's give that another. Let's give that a few more minutes and let's see if we can get another entry somewhere else. Let's reset the VWAPs. Yeah, I was really expecting that to hold. Really expecting that to hold. It's all good though. Let's rotate. Let's take that to account 4 and see if we get any luck here. Maybe a retest of the point of control, 6650. 6650. But yeah, but like I don't know, my thoughts around this now is we're below this VWAP. You know what I mean? So we're below the VWAP and we're also overly extended. So a down move is kind of in play. You know, so potentially maybe a test of the overnight value area high. But it also would be worth waiting to see if we break below that and see if we can get that Dalton play. You know. Let's see how we play this. And I do have a feeling this is actually where we had put our initial entry. But still, I mean, it still would have been invalid because not getting a break and retest of that, right? Not getting a break and retest of that would essentially just invalidated the continuation of the up move. And now that we're below the VWAP, you know, so so really at any point, really, even if we had placed our entry at the previous day high, you know, that didn't hold. You know, so potentially more conviction for the move towards the overnight value area high. Reset that. There we go. I was looking a little wonky. I think that's gonna break. that or along from so we could either long the overnight value area high or we could long the VWAP, you know. But then again, like there's a couple of things that could happen here, you know. Either we're either longing the value area low, which could happen, but I you know, I don't see this as a strong trade. The only real place of resistance that I see is this value, is the previous day value area high, and the VWAP. You know, if we don't hold above this overnight value area high, then you know this VWAP would be the only thing protecting price not rotating all the way down. You know. So yeah, let's wait and see. That last trade did take quite a substantial amount of our last of that account's profits, which is not gonna be fun to make back, you know. But c'est la vie, it happens. Maybe we buy the SMA. Have we? Let's see. I kind of think of these levels like, you know, your VWAPs, and especially like the volume weighted average price, like the red line, right, and the blue line, and the gray one as well. I kind of think of those as where they're potential buy or sell programs, right? So I think of it like there's an institution somewhere that's set orders, right? That has an agenda for the day. So, you know, potentially maybe the agenda is sell the VWAP, you know. So every time price gets to the VWAP, they sell it, you know. Or every time it gets to the SMA, they buy it, you know, or the EMA, they buy it, you know. Yeah. Basing this just off the amount of times I just see like reactive moves off of those levels, you know, like constantly. There's always a reactive move off the VWAPs. Like you see, like at the beginning of the session, like we bought it, we bounced off there, cool, and then now we've broken beneath it. So that buy program, is this buy program turned into a sell program, or is it still a buy program that was just sweeping liquidity? You know, we'll know on this. We'll know on the retest of it. You know, we'll know on the retest of it. But again, if it fails to hold, then this is gonna be very. This is what's gonna determine the rest of the session. At this area here, 451. 451, yeah. I mean, it's 451.15 on the VWAP. You know, because we've only bought this once. You know what I mean? And a part of me does still wanna try that long. Something like this. You know, maybe targeting that previous high. Something like that. Just changing that. And then, yeah, 6-point stop loss. And the ATR is 5.7. So yeah, maybe like a 7.25 stop loss, something like that. That would be putting full risk. So basically, if I get close out of, like, say, this trade idea, then that would be the trading session done for the day. It still could be really, really profitable though. But There are a couple of reasons why I am a bit tentative about this. There's this thing called the Dalton rule, and basically it says that if we open above the previous day value area, if we rotate into it, there's an 80% chance that we rotate to the bottom of the previous day, to the other side of the value area. Hence why at the beginning, what I was considering, what I was calling a move, was this. Then that would be a full rotation from the previous day value area high down to the previous day value area low. But that's if we break and accept within the previous day, value area. But the only, again, it's kind of 50-50 at this point, because what could stop that move is the VWAP, is this blue line. Because prior, we've only bought this once, and this was like in the AM session, so I don't know how this is going to react when price gets here. Worth the wait though. Alright, so let's just scoot this over. Also, the point of control just shifted lower. The point of control is this orange line. So that orange line, what that represents is, it represents fair value. Fair value being the place where there's an agreement in the auction as to this is the fair price to pay for this particular asset. That's what the point of control represents, and that's what the fair value is. And we're determining fair value. How we're finding that is we're finding that using the volume profile. So excuse me, so if remember, we're aggregating, we're getting the volume, right, on this volume profile over here. We're getting that off each tick, right? So each order, each tick, every buy and sell order that comes in, and it's accompanying volume, right? So if you're looking at from this price here, from 7466 to 5, that is where we have the largest peak in this is where we have the largest peak in the volume profile. I'm gonna switch these off. All right, like in comparison, like there's less volume here than there is here. Right, so the volume is represented horizontally. So that's how that is determined. Oops. Okay, now my power is still good, so we're possibly gonna accumulate here for a little while. It looks like. Yeah, let's get rid of this previous day high. Let me hide it. Yeah, and that time I was knocking the buy high, the buy low, sell high. Okay, so here's our test of the overnight value area high, right? This is, we're gonna get our first clue as to what's gonna happen from this point. Okay, now we broke that. Now we've accepted below the overnight. Well, not accepted just yet. Still have 30 seconds for this candle. But if we close beneath this, and then the next thing we're gonna be considering or looking at is whether we close below this value area low. And then after that, now the next thing we want to see is how we're going to react to the VWAP. So 52.15. So how we're going to react here. Right? If we get a sharp reaction off of it, then we're clearly buying it. But then again, if we break that, then we're going to look for, then I'll set a sell limit on the previous day value area high. So now we're at the value area low. Let's see if we get a break of that. This is also the open of New York. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna break that. So 51. I think let's front run this. Let's put a 51. I'll put a sell limit here. Okay, there we go. Damn, we got filled like immediately. So we're in that trade now. Was that the level? I think that was the level, 51. Yeah, 51 was the level. No stop is at 59.25. I'm actually full porting. I'm using all my risk, which is typically not what I would like to be doing. Okay, so this overnight point of control has to fall. If we don't break this, then this is gonna be a failed move. 48.25. So we need to fall below 48.25. Set this to 411. It's a long way though, but I mean, then we'll see how well this Dalton rule plays. This is a bit greedy though, I ain't gonna lie. We're gonna have to like really manage this trade like super well, Okay, so let's move this to break even because we're in profit now. All right, let's move that. Come on, buddy. Okay, so possibly the next, we'll put this at the overnight point of control. What's that, 448? Need this to continue flushing because if we come back, we might actually get stopped out. And I mean, like, nah, let's protect a lot more than 81. Let's protect at least 200. Okay, cool. So we need this to continue flashing. The next place we're gonna expect resistance is 423. Do we get stopped out here? This is kind of greedy though, I ain't gonna lie. Should have taken that 400 when we got it. Diamond hands, eh? Okay. Yeah, my motive wave's tripping, boss. For 23. Yeah, mate, let's lock in the 300. Okay, 300 locked. I mean, if we get stopped out here, this is like my daily target, so I wouldn't be too mad at that. But big sellers there. We need to be able to watch the motive wave as well to make sure we're getting reward, right? Like reward as in if big sellers step in, they're getting rewarded. If these big sellers stepped in and then price started moving the opposite direction, then there would be cause for concern, right? So 433. And that's what we're battling right now. Right? But as long as they can get that resultant move, then then we should flush. Then we should flush. Yeah, let's lock in the 400. Okay, 400 locked. Yeah, let's lock in 500 locked. So that's 20 points, yeah. Okay, so see that's a big buy there for 23. This is our overnight value area low, so if this can hold. Okay, we've broken beneath that. Just making sure we're taking as much as we can from this, you know what I mean? And don't come back. So yeah, so that's 423. So our stop is just below the 423. Hmm. 415. Yeah, let's lock in a full 600. Cool. Now let's make that 700. A little bit more. And then yeah, and then if we hit previous day value area low, don't come back. Don't come back. Yeah, I think that's gonna get our TP. This is okay. I guess stopped out on that, but which is a little unfortunate because I think we will get the full previous day value area low, but yeah, honestly not too mad about that. Not too mad about that. I mean, like our first trade was a little, yeah, our first trade was a little skittish, but at least we made something out of the second one. So negative 200 on the first one, but 718 on the second. So yeah. But yeah, so that was the Dalton rule in play. As I had said that, like, if we open above the previous day value, right? Open above the previous day value, which we did. You know, let me hide these. Let's hide that, and let's switch off the other things. Yeah, so kind of like, as I was saying, if we gonna need to talk to Elon Musk about his internet, because what the hell. So yeah, so like, as I said, like, the Dalton rule basically is Jim Dalton. He has a book called Market Over Profile. And he talks about like auction market theory and volume profiles and volume and price and all of that, right? Basically, how it goes is that what he says is that if we open in the session, right? If we open above the previous day value, so our previous day, yeah, so our previous day values are these, right? So previous day value area high, previous day point of control, previous day value area low, right? That's our previous day value. And how we get these is by using the previous day's volume profile. So like, I drew this volume profile, a similar volume profile on the previous day, right? On Monday. And so that Monday's value area high is the previous day value area high. That Monday's point of control is previous day point of control. That Monday's value area low is previous day value area low. So what the rule says is that if we open above our previous day value, right, and then rotate within it, right, and then there's an 80% chance that we rotate the full way, meaning that we rotate all the way from one value area to the other. So from value area high to value area low. So at the beginning of the session, like roundabout here, that was something. Not really at the beginning of the session, more like when we started the stream. I did talk about that, and I did say that, like, I would like for us to consolidate a bit higher, and then make that rotation move lower. We just got that move up that kind of shook me out a little, but it's all good. So yeah, so that's what we got. We got, like, we were above the previous day value, right? As you can see from 9:30, and then we rotated into it. We rotated into it, and how we got this entry is used a sell limit, which lucky enough we got, and we got filled. So yeah, so I mean, it didn't really get all the way to the previous day value area low, but at least we managed to catch this entire move. That essentially, just like kind of having knowing that at the back of my mind is what stopped me from trying to long again from the point of control. Yeah, or because remember, like, also what we had tried to do is we had tried to get a break and retest from value area high, then we didn't get that, and then I did consider like longing from the point of control, but longing from here didn't make sense because we have this VWAP, this New York volume weighted average price line, right? So I knew that this was going to be some form of resistance. So I didn't want to long from here, right? And also the fact that, like, we were also below this removed that conviction for me that we were going to be going long, so got rid of that idea. And then I also then considered like longing from overnight value area high, but considering how close we were as well to the VWAP, right? I actually wanted to long from previous day value area high, but then again, it was like, only reason why I was considering that was that potentially that the VWAP in itself was gonna act as a roadblock. So just wanted to see if we're gonna break below the VWAP. So getting that break below the VWAP. So a couple of things. What are the confidences? The break below the New York VWAP, cool. And then the break below the point of control, cool. And then the break below the overnight value area high, right? So rotating into overnight value, and then breaking the value area low of the developing volume profile. At that point, that's like 4 or 5 things. And then the break of the VWAP, and then I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Then that Dalton rule is going to be in play. And yeah, so that's how we caught that entire down move. Essentially, I mean, we could have, yeah, getting into the tick to the point of control would have been fantastic, but I'm happy with what we got, you know. And also just kind of as an extra thing, if you maybe like something to consider as well, is well the Keltner channels as well, right? So if they would behave. Yeah, so the Keltner channels. What about the Keltner channels? The fact that like also I wasn't really watching these, to be honest. When I was managing the trade, I was just managing the trade from here, right? Just like locking in. I'll talk about that in a bit, but the Keltner channels also, like when we got here, we're now overextended, so the reversal move makes sense. You get it? Like the reversal to the upside makes sense because now we've got a full extension of price. And how this is calculated is it's calculated using the ATR. Right? So let me do this. Let's switch to a 5-minute. And then let's work it out together. Yeah, my motivator is buggy, boss. Motivator is bugging. So what was I saying? Keltner channels, right? So this is how mine are calculated. So they calculated using an ATR period of 10, right? An ATR period of 10. So 10 points. So ATR is the average true range. Okay, so typically this is the actual ATR of the session using 5-minute candles. So the average true range being, this is ATR is calculated by averaging the last 14 candles. So you take the price movements of the last 14 candles and you divide that by 14. And that's how you get this figure, 13.911. And it's obviously going to change depending on the time frame, because a 5-minute candle is going to have more price movement than a 1-minute candle, right? But an hour candle is going to have a lot more price movement than a 5-minute candle. Okay, so my Keltner channel is using an ATR period of 10, right? So that was kind of like the in between I found for the session. An ATR of 10, and where the upper range is 2.5 times the ATR period. That's all it is, from the middle period being 20. So the 20 being this is a moving average. This is a moving average. So I'm using a moving average to calculate a 5-minute moving average. All right, I'll show you here. All right, so I'm using a 5-minute bar size to calculate that SMA, EMA rather, and then I'm using 2.5 times the ATR to get these levels. This is also just like trial and error. I was just like, yeah, I tried it on the NQ. It works with 15 minutes. I found it works better for me when if I use a 15-minute period. So that's how I calculated my ATR. Well, not my ATR, but my Keltner channels. If you're using something like TradingView won't allow you to, unless you're using like a pro plan, but it won't allow you to set a different time frame for the moving average, like I have. So even if I switch to a 1 minute or a 5 minute, like this is still gonna be, this EMA is still let me just call it a moving average. This moving average is still a moving average of 5-minute candles, of the last 25-minute candles. Boss. I also don't know how to explain it in less detail. Yeah, I'm not mad about that exit, to be honest. 72250. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy dub, though. I ain't gonna lie. It's a pretty crazy dub. Yeah, and I don't know why my motor wave is acting like this today. We'll do a speed check, but I guess like maybe something to watch now is just like the IV play. I don't think I'm gonna take that today, honestly. I don't know how I'd rate this performance because we did take one out, which was uncharacteristic in the way that we took it. Yeah. And by like uncharacteristic, what I mean by that is, I don't like how I chased price higher to get the fill, you know. But also at the same time, I do feel like chasing it higher didn't mean that we got close out of that trade idea really quickly. Like, we were wrong, and we weren't wrong throughout like an insane amount of chop. We were wrong like almost right there and there. So, because if I had, no, my motivate today, Motivate today is doing a waza. Yeah, possibly like the value area high break and retest move was this, but then again, you see that's like 9:42. That's before my trading window, and by the time the trading window had opened, we were, way above it, and then we didn't get the retest there. Value area was moving higher, so that's kind of why I trailed it. And yeah, I think we got filled somewhere around, what time did we get filled? Let's just see. Yeah, this account is not performing well, not doing well on this one. Yeah, we got filled at 9:53. So 9:50. 9:53. you know, we got filled on an entire down move. Yeah, but we did. I mean, we charted the loss. It is what it is. We're just gonna have to come back tomorrow and work on that one. I don't know if like maybe I should give this account a little more attention because we're pretty healthy on account one. So maybe we give this a little more attention and just kind of work it out of drawdown, and then we'll go back to rotating. You know, that, or we just like continue the same way. We just like rotate the same way. Because tomorrow we'd actually be trading account one, which is the second account I started trading. Which is the second account I took the second trade off. Which is the account I took the second trade off. So maybe let's give that. Yeah, I'll we have AI. I'll Claude AI it. But yeah, I don't know how I could have done any better with that one. Maybe just by not chasing it, perhaps. But it's happened. It's happened. We will journal it. I guess now what we can wait and see. What we can wait and see what develops of the initial balance play, which I really want to get. I really want to get a really good grasp of. Yeah, I want to get a really good understanding of initial balance, because the initial balance presents itself like literally every day. Like the initial balance plays are there every day. Reason being, again, like the initial balance is formed within the first hour of the New York session, right? So it's the high, that's initial balance high, and then that's initial balance low. Right? So from 9:30 to 10:30. Right? Whatever's the high and the low, right? That's ORH, opening range high, 491, and then opening range low, which is 415. See that? So once that's formed, this also has its own set of plays. There is a break and retest lower, and then there's a fade back to VWAP. You know, which yeah, knowing that there's only two plays. I guess everything has two plays, right? Everything has two plays, meaning you can either be long a level or you can be short a level. Right? That pretty much, I think that much makes sense. You can either be long a level or you can be short a level. But then depending on the volume, depending on the profile, you're either short value area high or you're long value area high, right? Depending on what it is, depending on the context of volume at that level, right? Which is different from initial balance in the sense that there will always be an initial balance low and there will always be an initial balance high, and you're gonna get one of those two things. You're either gonna get a break and retest of initial balance high, or you're gonna get a break and retest of initial balance low, or you're gonna get a fade of initial balance high, or you're gonna get a fade of initial balance low. Like you're gonna get that regardless, all the time, every day, as long as there are markets, and that's gonna happen every day. So knowing that play is there every day, I'm just like, I really want to get good at it, because then essentially what that means is, even if I get it 4 out of 5 times, that's 4 out of 5 times making 12 to 20 point trades. So that's like 300 to 500. So it's quite significant. Like knowing how to do that being able to play that consistently would be very profitable. That would be like a really good edge. Yeah, I think let's restart Motivate because I don't understand why we've been um, why we've been doing that. Yeah, let's restart that. Meantime, see if I can show. Yeah, let me just put my report card here in the meantime. I think maybe just to wrap the stream up, I didn't really talk about this as much as I could have yesterday, but maybe we could use the last 15 minutes of the stream just talking about how I do the accountability aspect and yeah, you know, how I work on the accountability and on the trade journaling. So yeah. Okay, just give me 2 seconds. All right. Yeah. So I thought I'd come and like talk about this a little. But let's put on the motivate first before we get into that too deep. Because it looks like we're gonna get a test of that. Looks like we're getting a test of that initial balance. So let's watch that and annotate it, talk about it visually. I don't think I'm gonna take a trade off that. Yeah, kind of overperformed and underperformed in one account. So I don't know what my third trade is gonna look like. But yeah, see, that's uh, 1 second. All right, we'll get to the report card in just a little bit. But yeah, so what do we not need anymore? Let's switch off the CalcNet channels. And yeah, I think everything else is relevant. So, so what's happening now? So now, remember I was saying like initial balance plays, right? We either get a break and retest. Okay, I need to call Motivate personally and talk to them. Anyway, remember I was saying we either get a break of, uh, we either get a break, right, of the initial balance, a break and retest. So this is the break, right? And potentially like a retest of it, and then it continues going to the downside, right? So the reason why I'm like somewhat obsessed about this is because this presents itself, as I was saying, it presents itself every day, right? But we also have situations where we have something that looks like a look below and fail. This looks like it's going to be very strong, a very strong break to the upside, though. I'm not going to lie. This looks like it does not want to come back because their initial balance is what, 415.25. $415. Yeah, you see, that's like it just like broke and just went forever. 415.25. So this would be uh this would be where potentially you could get like the retest, right? So getting a break and retest of that level of 415.25 and then getting a continuation move lower. Right. I mean, I think I'm pretty much almost at my personal daily loss limit here. So, I mean, hey, I know I said I was gonna take another trade, but 415.25. So this would be waiting. So this is essentially this is like waiting for the retest, which I don't think we're gonna get now because I mean, look at that. We're already what, 20 points away, 20 plus points, 20, 30 points away from it. So I don't think we're gonna get the retest of that anymore. And plus we're also forming low volume nodes here. So if there's gonna be a retest, it probably would be around 406, 400. And then also there's the psychological level of 400. So yeah, possibly like strong reactions off the 400 levels again. So yeah, just kind of like I really want to get this type of move right. You know what I mean? Getting this type of move right would be fantastic because that would have been an extra 40 points. So what, a grand, just from where my sell limit is here to here, so so good just a week ago. But yeah, but like knowing what potentially is going to happen, knowing what potentially is going to happen. I guess there are ways in which you could kind of deduce, kind of form a narrative, like just based off where initial balance is, right? You could say because we're so close to the previous day value area low, and because the Dalton rule is in play, that we're gonna break below the initial balance to go and retest previous day value area low, right? And then what we got is we got a retest of previous day value area low, and hence the continuation the continuation to the downside. So that could be one way. I guess that could be one way to formulate it or to think about it. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. But uh, I would, somewhat, I would expect like a rotation back from like this level would probably be targeting the VWAP. You know, that would be, that's where I would get out if I was in that type of play. But yeah, it's asking for a lot. It's asking for 40 plus points to get back, and then I don't see that happening. I think that was the break and retest. Good thing we have it recorded. We'll, you know, we don't need to get it right today, but in time. You know what I mean? In time. Yeah, my personal daily loss limit has been hit. I don't know why this hasn't locked. It's supposed to lock me out once I've hit that currently. See, like my current loss limit is. Okay, you guys couldn't see that. Or could you? Anyway, I have a personal daily loss limit that I've set per account, so that way I don't lose more than I potentially make per day. But yeah, waiting to see if we can get a retest of this. Let's take this limit order off. Yeah, let's take this off. I'll lock this account myself. Oldie. And then I will also, wow, I'll also lock this account out. Cool. All right. And then now we really just have to come back tomorrow. We won't do anything stupid. Meantime, I think that's gonna be it. I think potentially the last thing we could talk about is, yeah, we could talk about let's talk about that report card, and then we'll call it a wrap for the day. So yeah, so one thing that I've really been kind of obsessive about is like data and stats. Like obviously, like my trading style revolves around trading around institutional levels. So that's where I guess we could say, my edge lies, right? Yeah, motivate you can rest, buddy. It's all right. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll open that up when I'm journaling again, when I have to journal. But yeah. So as I was saying, uh, like my edge lies around trading from institutional levels, right? From data back levels. So the first trade that I took, trading from uh, developing volume profile value area high, that was an institutional level that I was trying to long off of at the beginning, and then not getting that, and then going short again from an institutional level from previous day value area high, going short off that, um, you know, having that Dalton rule come into effect, right? with that, I also then need to be able to track my performance per trade that I take. Right. At the beginning, like towards the end of last year, when I was like learning order flow, I was just like really getting into like as many trades as I possibly could. Trying to figure out like why does this work? Why doesn't this work? Why does this hold? Why doesn't this hold? Right. And understanding like footprints and uh, point of controls and value areas and all this stuff. Not really essentially like knowing what I was doing, but just kind of like getting a feel of order flow. And as a result, for me to kind of like get to this point, I just decided, I was like, look, I need to take as many trades as I possibly can, and then I need to learn from each and every one of those trades. So the beginning part was like super frantic, where you know maybe 20 plus trades a day, you know 20 plus trades a day, long here, short here, long here, short here, scalp here, hold here, that type of thing. And then I kind of found a rhythm where then I was like, okay, cool, like I think volume profiles suit my trading style a lot more than footprints do, right? And that was important, because like knowing that then didn't mean like switching strategy, but what it meant was, it meant that I could focus on one particular thing, right? So now it's like, okay, cool. Now that I trade using volume profiles, now I'm going to double down on volume profiles. So at the beginning, what I would do is I would put, I'd draw volume profiles over a month. So I draw over a month, and then I'd also draw a volume profile over a quarter. You know what I'm saying? So starting off by a volume profile per quarter over the last 3 months, and then a volume profile over a month, and then a volume profile over the last week, then a volume profile over the previous day, and then a volume profile over different sessions. So just kind of like getting refining and refining and refining and refining and refining and refining, right? And then also learning from like different people on the internet, from chart fanatics, from other traders who trade live, you know. So now with all of that, it's like cool. Like now that I have these different playbooks, I'm also, I noticed that like I wasn't cognizant or aware of which one of my trades worked better. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, do I win more trades when I long uh, VWAP, or do I win more trades when I short VWAP? Like, which one of my trades performs better? You know, and the only way I could know this is by actually writing it down. But like now writing it down with intention, because yeah, I would write it down in a journal, like I longed here, I longed there, but then it's like there on a piece of paper, and then like how do I analyze that? How do I gather all of those stats, and and get some information out of it, that's going to like information that's going to then help my performance going into the future. So the first thing that was important was for me to start journaling. I have my trade journal over here. Where are you? Y'all gonna see what I be watching. But yeah, anyway, I have like my Substack. I have my Substack, and on my Substack, I literally journal everything every day. You know, so, but also like this was a conscious decision from, yeah, from the end of April, right? From around about like my birthday, I was just like, yeah, like let me journal the trades. Let me journal the trades. Let me write down what my thoughts and feelings were, what I was trying to do, what I was trying to I was trying to take trades from, and then also let me take like screenshots of each trade, all right? Then that way there's a public journal of, first of all, of like me trying things, and which I can go back and visit, because now this is like in the public domain, right? So I know I'll be able to access this from any point, anywhere, right? So now with all of this, right, now having journaled from like, okay, cool, from the 22nd of April, having journaled each one of those like trading days, right? I did take a break from, I think it's like from the 11th of May, from the 8th, from the 11th. Yeah, this is from the 11th. Uh, yeah, and this was like a pretty, this is a pretty bad day. Literally, let's never do that again. So I know, like on this particular day, like you know, what was I trying to do? What was meant to be an intermediary scalp trade turned into a swing trade with two added positions. So I know now not to, not to add. Well, not that I know not to add two positions, right? But I would rather not. I still won this trade. I still made a significant amount of money from this trade, but it was very nervy. And I remember I took this trade from an overnight session, right? So I started trading this from Globex into New York session, you know. And then, yeah, and then I think I lost that account. I must have like blown that account somehow at some point, um, you know. And then I started again. You know what I mean? Started again from the 1st of June. Now this time with a lot more intentionality, right? A lot more intentionality, having also gone back and looked at my trading stats and my trading data, and now with the knowing of I perform better on uh, days like this. I tend to lose more on days that follow these particular days, you know. So yeah, so just one more time, just like with all of this stuff, like I'm not just like writing it down on Substack and then like leaving it here. At the end of like the trading week, I will take my CSV data from TradeC. So each and every one of the trades from each day, from each trading day, every trade, I'll take that CSV data, and then I will feed it into my journal. You know, I have an Excel document, which is a journal where I journal the actual trades. All right. And now with those figures, now with like that actual data, then now I can create these weekly report cards. I'm using Claude to do this. I'm using AI to do this because it's there and it's free. So you get me. And yeah, and I mean, I'm also not about to pay somebody to tell me what I can deduce myself. You know what I mean? So yeah, so this is like this report card. I made this at the end. Well, I made this on Monday. Yeah, I made this on Monday morning, I think. Um, but it was taking into account my previous journal, just from the 22nd of April to the 12th of May. Um, and then also my new journal, which is from the previous week, right? Uh, Direction of travel is positive, win rate up 4.2 point, profit factor up 0.10, and losses are smaller on the new accounts. The dual account rotation and tighter exit discipline are already showing in the numbers after just 1 week. All right, so that's another thing that I added. I added a second account because I noticed that like what would happen is if I'd go through streaks, if I'd go through losing streaks, those would compound on one account. So I come in today, I lose 200. I come in the next day, I lose 200. I come in the next day, I lose 200 again, and now I'm down 600. And then on Thursday, I win, maybe 300, and then on Friday, I win 150. I'm still down 150, but then now coming into the next week, again, I'm like compound whenever I'd lose, I'd compound those losses. So what I figured was like, nah, let me get two different accounts. Let me get two accounts instead, and then I can rotate, and then the I can spread the risk essentially. So if I lose on this account, I'm losing 200, yeah, but then on this other account, I'm not compounding um, on that one account. So if I take an L today, like so, for example, last week, going back to the journal, fantastic that we have this and we can have a look at it. All right. So this was 1 June, right? The 1st of June. I took an L on this. Oops, where are you? right? So I took an L. So I was negative 148 on this account, right? On account one, right? And then the next day, I took an L as well. I was negative 197. Day two, account two. And then I didn't trade on the third. Um, I didn't trade on the fourth. And then on the fifth, on Friday, then I rotated back to account one. Took a dub on that. And then, this was on account two. So this is account two. And then this was. Hold on. That's not right. Was that the fifth? Yeah. So because I rotated, I took a dub on the one account and then I took an L on the other account. Right? I think that's what happened. June 5th. Oh, this messed up. Okay, we'll switch that around. I took a dub on the 5th. I was up on both accounts on the 5th. And then yeah, so just kind of like rotating like that, like going from one account to the next account, like I'm spreading my risk, right? I'm spreading my risk. So even if I do go through a streak, if I do go through a losing streak, it's not going to be on one account. So yeah, so that was, so kind of like having all of that data and then feeding it into the journal, like knowing that, like, okay, like I have what we're calculating is EV, which is expected value. Expected value is whether I am profitable, whether I am profitable per particular thing. So what I want to get is I want to have more positive EV. Right? That's what they call alpha. I want to have more positive alpha. Right. So positive alpha meaning I essentially am net positive for different things, right? So, for example, expected value by direction, I'm net positive when I go long, right? And I'm negative when I'm short in trades. So from the 14 trades that I've taken, that's a 78.6% win rate, and then with my shorts, that's a 20% win rate. So my profit factor is higher on my longs than it is with my shorts, right? So so this is your most important finding. Your long edge and short edge are almost mirror opposites. The short losses are not bad luck. There's a systematic pattern across 10 trades. Short setups in your playbook are currently not working. Right? So it's like, oh, okay, cool. Now that I know that, now every time I go into shorts, I kind of need to be a lot more cognizant. I need to be a lot more present for those shorts and really consider whether that's a short move that I want to be a part of, right? And then I also have my expected value per setup. VWAP plays, OPOC entries, that's overnight point of control entries, value area low fades, right? So we took a value area low fade, a value area high fade today, right? That's like the where we broke within the value area and then we rotated towards the value area low. Well, to the point of control, to the previous day point of control. That was a fade, right? And that aligns with like the with the stats, with the data that I already have. My break and retest, out of the 7 trades that I've taken, it's a 42% win rate, 42.9% win rate, and I'm negative on that. Expected value. I'm negative 50 on that expected value. Again, we did try to take that trade today, right? That's the one that I was like chasing up. We didn't get that, and that aligns with like my data, and then IBH, IBL plays. These are the ones that I was saying that like I feel like if I can get more of those, like because they present themselves every day, right? If I can do more IBH, IBL plays, if I can get this number higher, I'll be a little more profitable, So that's the data on that, 37% win rate. And then my overnight value area plays 0% win rate. I can't remember what my failed or reactive were. I think this is like when I'm trading on tilt, basically. I think that's what that is, you know. So again, it's like VWAP plays are your highest EV setup by a wide margin. These should be your primary focus. Overnight point of control entries are your second best setup and the most consistent. Together, these two setups are the core of your edge. I haven't taken a VWAP trade. I think we tried one yesterday, but I didn't get the entry at VWAP. I got it like slightly above, so um, we're gonna need to revisit that. And then overnight value area plays and reactive trades are both zero for their sample with no wins. These are not setups, they are categories of loss. Reactive trades in particular represent money you are voluntarily giving back. You know, so I had a thorough look at this on Monday, you know. Um, and then this is my EV per day, you know. Mondays, red. Tuesdays, red. Wednesdays, red. Then Thursdays and Fridays is when I particularly, it looks like that's when I perform better, you know. So coming into the week, that's why I was like, okay, cool. I know that I took a dub on Friday, right? I was green on Friday. So now coming into this Monday, I knew I was like, I need to, uh, you know, I need to be a lot more focused with the, uh, yeah, I just need to, you know, I just kind of felt like I need to be a lot more focused when it comes to my Mondays, you know, of which I think yesterday, what did we do? How did we perform yesterday? I think we took one L. We took one L and did we? Yeah, I mean, we were net positive. We had one, there was one trade. That was a trade that we lost. This was the trade that we lost, and then I took another trade after which we won. So um, we were net positive on both accounts. So I was 295 on account one, and then 103 on account two. You know, so I guess like what I'm getting at essentially, we could go through all of this like in detail. But I guess essentially what I'm getting at is that like having data of your trades and of your trading is so underrated and so undervalued. Like right at the beginning, like I honestly I didn't want to do any of this because I was like, bro, honestly, why am I even, you know, you know what I'm saying? I was like, why am I even like writing this shit down? Like, why do I even need to have all this stuff down? But now that I have like the data the thing is like it's data not even over a large sample size. This is like 24 trades, but each of these trades was like super intentional, and each of these trades was journaled. You know, um, this is gonna look a lot cleaner and a lot better once you know once we're at like yeah, I feel like it's gonna look a lot cleaner once we're um yeah, once we've done like 100 plus trades, you know. I think then we're gonna have a larger sample size to then look at, and then you know, and then we'll just like make certain things non-starters, like just basically maybe we just shouldn't have an initial balance play, you know, completely. Maybe that's just like not maybe that's just like something that's just not in alignment with us, you know what I mean? So yeah. uh yeah, my dudes, I think that's gonna be everything. This is reacting off that volume note that I had mentioned. Remember, I'm gonna open motivate one more time and then we'll call it a wrap. How many hours is that? Yeah, 2 hours. That's my quota. It's my quota. Come on. Yeah, Yeah, I think like this 4-4 level, you know, this 4-4 level. One second, guys. Uh, yeah, we're gonna color a wrap in just a bit, but this 4-4 level, this 4-5-4-4 level, I believe, is a low volume node that I'd said we were potentially going to get some form of a reaction off of. Was it not? Yeah, round about here. This probably got filled by that candle. Am I right? Or am I lying? Am I capping? Yeah, you know. So anyway, uh, yeah, and look at this. Like our view apps have like officially touched. So I mean, like along from here to the view app, that's also a play. Just not gonna be involved in it, unfortunately. Just not gonna be involved in it. I don't see us getting a retest and breaking below this again. Because this was a pretty strong move. This was about what, 33.25 points. I was pretty reactive. So, uh, but yeah, oh, you guys didn't even see it. My bad. We're at the. Yeah, what I was showing on the chart. I was just saying that like we had a volume node, a low volume node, around about the 4-4 area, which I did kind of expect we were gonna get a retest of. If I just draw this out like this, uh, yeah, this was kind of like the volume node I was like looking at that I'd seen earlier. Let's just draw it out where I was kind of, remember I'd like put a limit order, a limit sell at the what do you call that, at the initial balance low. But I did kind of, I'd seen this volume node and I was just kind of like, if we are gonna get like some reactive move lower, it's gonna be from there. And we got that, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was like what, 4-4, 4-0, 4-3. So pretty clean. If this breaks this low, then then continuation lower, that's gonna be a target. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it. Honestly, I think I'm gonna call it, and then just gonna journal the day. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it journal the day, and possibly catch you guys tomorrow. Shout out to you if you were in the stream, and if you're still here, you're a real one, because we were done pretty early. You could have like gone. But yeah, much love. Appreciate you being here and taking the time to come and support the stream. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comment section, or alternatively, you can join the Telegram link that is also in the description. And then I will, yeah. And then if you have any questions, you can hit me up directly from there. And yeah, I'll catch you guys.